The morning was like any other in the small town, a gentle fog hanging over the streets as the residents began their daily routines. The sound of birds chirping and the soft hum of the nearby river filled the air, making the town feel calm, almost surreal. But as the first rays of sunlight peered through the windows, something so extraordinary happened that would forever change the lives of everyone in the town. It began as a normal day at the town hospital. The staff were busy preparing for another day of healing, helping the sick and the elderly, unaware that what was about to unfold would leave everyone in tears. Nurse Clara was just finishing up her shift when the doors to the emergency room suddenly burst open. The noise of the door slamming against the wall echoed through the quiet halls. In rushed a mother bear, her thick brown fur gleaming under the hospital lights. The staff froze, unsure of what to do. Their first instinct was fear. Wild animals didn't wander into hospitals. But the next thing they saw sent shockwaves through their bodies. The mother bear wasn't alone. In her powerful arms, she carried a small human baby, no more than a few months old. The baby, wrapped in a worn blanket, was limp and pale, its tiny face barely visible, but it was clear. The baby needed help, and the bear had brought it here. For a moment, the room was filled with stunned silence. Clara, who had seen her share of odd situations during her time as a nurse, stood rooted to the spot. She couldn't comprehend what was happening. The bear, wild and dangerous in the eyes of many, was standing before her, holding a child in need. The mother bear's eyes, usually wild and fierce, were calm as she looked around the room. She didn't growl, nor did she act aggressively. There was an unspoken understanding between the bear and the humans in the room, and it was clear that this was no ordinary visit. The bear had come here with a singular purpose: to protect the baby. Clara snapped out of her trance and stepped forward cautiously. "What? What do you want me to do?" she whispered, her heart racing. The baby needed medical help, and the bear had come to the one place it might receive it. The bear made no sound, but her eyes shifted to the baby in her arms, and Clara understood. The bear wasn't leaving until the child was safe. It was an act of trust, one that was incomprehensible in the moment. But Clara knew one thing for certain: the bear had chosen the hospital for a reason. "Get Dr. Sanders," Clara called out to the nearest nurse, her voice trembling. She knew they had no time to waste. The child's life was hanging in the balance, and now it was her responsibility to help. Moments later, Dr. Sanders, the town's best pediatrician, rushed into the emergency room. His eyes widened at the sight of the bear, but he didn't hesitate. He stepped forward slowly, talking to the bear in a calm, soothing voice. "It's okay. We're going to help her," Dr. Sanders said, kneeling beside the bear. His hand hovered near the baby, but he wasn't sure how to approach it without frightening the bear. The mother bear, still protective, stepped back just slightly, as though giving permission for the doctor to examine the child. Clara, now beside Dr. Sanders, took the baby from the bear's grasp gently. The moment she held the baby in her arms, the full weight of the situation hit her. The child was cold, its little body frail and covered in dirt. It was clear the baby had been through something terrible, but the most shocking thing of all was that the baby was alive. The bear had managed to carry this child all the way to the hospital, despite the dangers that would have come with such a journey. With careful hands, Dr. Sanders and Clara worked together, checking the baby's vital signs. The bear, although tense, did not move. She watched every step they took, her eyes never leaving the baby. She was waiting, watching, trusting them with the life of her precious charge. The room was heavy with emotion. How had this baby come to be with the bear? Why had the bear chosen this hospital, this place of safety, to bring the child? And what would happen next? With the baby now in stable condition, Clara and Dr. Sanders turned their attention back to the bear. It was clear that the mother bear wasn't leaving until the baby was safe. She remained in the room, waiting for the doctors and nurses to finish their work. The bear's actions spoke louder than words. They had come here for protection. And as the night began to settle over the village, it was evident that this extraordinary story was just beginning. The following days in the small-town hospital were filled with questions, wonder, and a sense of urgency. The villagers who had heard the tale of the mother bear and the baby couldn't believe what had happened. News spread like wildfire, and soon people from neighboring towns came to see the miraculous bear who had saved a human child. But amidst the attention, the mystery of the baby's origins only deepened. The baby, who had been named Emily by the hospital staff, was slowly recovering. Her skin, once cold and pale, was beginning to regain its color. The hospital staff, led by Dr. Sanders, did everything they could to care for her, but the most pressing question remained: where had she come from? Nurse Clara, who had been with Emily from the moment the bear arrived, couldn't shake the thought that the baby's story was far from over. The bond between the mother bear and the child was undeniable, yet no one could explain how the bear had come to be carrying the baby. Clara knew that they needed answers, not just for Emily's sake, but for the bear's as well. The mother bear, though initially calm, was growing restless. She had not left the hospital since the night of the arrival, and now her gaze lingered more urgently on the door, as if waiting for someone or something. On the fourth day, as the snow continued to fall outside, a breakthrough came. Clara had noticed a pattern. Every evening, the bear would quietly leave the hospital grounds, only to return by morning. The staff had grown accustomed to her presence, and while she was a force to be reckoned with, no one dared to challenge her. It was during one of these evening walks that Clara decided to follow her, hoping to learn more about where the bear was going and why she was so determined to return every night. Wrapped in a warm coat, Clara ventured outside, careful not to alarm the bear. She followed the bear through the snow-covered woods, the trees heavy with snow. The air was crisp, and the world around her seemed eerily still, as if holding its breath. The bear moved with purpose, her strides strong yet cautious. Clara kept a safe distance, her breath coming in soft clouds of fog as she trudged behind the animal. After what felt like an eternity, the bear reached a small, abandoned cabin deep in the woods. The door was slightly ajar, and the bear moved inside with ease, as if she had been there before. Clara's heart raced as she approached, keeping her distance while still managing to peek through a crack in the door. What Clara saw made her heart stop. Inside the cabin was a man, old but strong, sitting in a chair by a dimly lit fire. He looked like he had been living in isolation for years, his weathered face full of quiet sorrow. But it wasn't his face that caused Clara's breath to catch. It was the other baby lying beside him. A small bundle, wrapped in cloth, with a face that mirrored Emily's. The baby's features were nearly identical, a shockingly familiar sight that made Clara's mind race. This baby, too, had been abandoned, just like Emily. The realization hit Clara like a wave. The man wasn't just living alone in the woods. He was Emily's father, and he had left her for reasons unknown, leaving her to survive in the harsh wilderness. The bear, likely a creature of instinct and compassion, had found the abandoned child and taken it upon herself to protect her. Clara stepped back, trying to process everything she had just witnessed, but the mother bear, sensing Clara's presence, turned and locked eyes with her. For a moment, there was no aggression, just understanding, almost as if the bear knew Clara had seen enough. The connection between them was clear. This bear had not just acted out of instinct, she had acted out of love and a sense of duty. She had found Emily and brought her to safety, hoping the humans could finish what had been started. The bear nudged the cabin door with her large, strong paws and motioned for Clara to enter. She did so hesitantly, moving slowly toward the man and the baby. He didn't seem surprised to see her, but his expression softened as Clara approached. Emily? She's safe? The man asked hoarsely, his voice filled with guilt and grief. Clara nodded slowly, her heart heavy with the weight of the truth. She's safe now, Clara replied softly, her eyes never leaving the man. But we need to know what happened. Why did you leave her in the woods? The man sighed deeply, rubbing his hand over his face. I didn't want to, he said, his voice trembling with emotion. But I couldn't keep her. I couldn't protect her from the things in my past. I didn't deserve her. The room was filled with silence as Clara let his words sink in. It wasn't just the baby's survival that had brought them to this moment. It was the desperate need for healing. The bear had done the unimaginable, bringing a child to safety, and now it was up to the humans to offer that child the care she deserved. Clara turned back to the eye,